All right, morning everyone. Welcome to another episode of Trading Bitcoin with your host Tone Vays, coming to you live on this U.S. holiday Monday for Martin Luther King's Day. So the markets will be closed. Well, the audio is working. So the markets will be closed, but as we all know, Bitcoin doesn't close, and so Bitcoin doesn't take a break, and I don't take a break. I do have a flight that's boarding in about 2 hours. So I'm starting to get to the airports like last minute because there's not that many people flying, which makes it convenient. So we have at most 20 to 25 minutes before I have to get my ass to the airport. So let's go to screen share. Where are my Q&A people? All right, cool. Live chat's working. Kicking off with only 200 live viewers. Holiday Monday. That's what happens. And I'm probably shadow banned. Okay, here we go. All right. So, thank you to those that came out last night. Wasn't as big of a crowd as we had in Austin, Texas, but Houston, Texas was a lot of fun. It was great. There were some videos of me dancing to Latin music that may or may not get leaked to the internet. But yeah, it was great. Had a great time. The place didn't get packed, but it was definitely full than this because this is like right at the opening. So it was a lot of fun. Also, shout out to Naveen and her husband Brian. Thank you for taking me out to dinner. It was awesome. I got to pick up at the airport, taken to an awesome steak dinner, and then went to hang out and enjoy life. And the problem happens. I'm sorry, guys. Doesn't matter. Look, if you don't want to go out and enjoy life, then stay in your basement. No one is forcing you to leave the house. But when you put your moral superiority on top of other people, that's a sickness that you have, and you should deal with that sickness before going outside again. That's basically what I've been telling on Twitter. Where is she? Whoever this is, whoever this Estelle person is. It was probably part of the other. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Look, if you have a problem with other people not staying in their basement, then you stay in your basement. If you are afraid to get sick, then don't leave the house. You don't put your moral superiority on top of others, or you're gonna end up like a Canadian who I think a North Korean right now has more freedom than a Canadian. So good luck with that socialist hellhole. So let's move on. By the way, I am on Mastodon and I am on Gab, so I cross post my tweets on there. Not all of them, but like the ones that like these ones. Let's go to the charts. Okay. Monthly chart, the month's halfway over, and not much changing. So we're going to skip that right away. The weekly chart, we have started a new week. I like the way last week ended. Last week ended fairly bullishly, relatively speaking. Yes, we had our first red candle. However, it did rally quite a bit to the upside at the end of the week, which is great. This week just started, so too early to say anything, but here's what we know about this week. This week is a warning arrow. So the MRI top is coming. The MRI top is coming next week. So we do have about 14 days before a weekly MRI top. Now, here's the good news. The good news is that we are consolidating. And whenever you are consolidating, it generally is a bullish sign. I still am hopeful that we rally all the way to the upside in the next 2 weeks. But right now, as we go to the lower level time frames, you will see how much we are consolidating. And this triangle is going to break one way or another. You'll need to see it on a lower level time frame. In fact, let's do that. Let's go to that lowest level time frame. To me, this is the most important pattern right now. More important than the daily, more important than the weekly, because this will potentially dictate the higher level time frames. This is a very obvious and pronounced triangle on the hourly chart. And this thing will move one way or another. I think this is off by 1 hour. There you go. Better. We had an absolute perfect touch of the bottom here, here. That is very, very close. And that is also very, very close. On the upside, we really have just one over here and one perfect here. And this came up short by quite a bit. And this came up short by a little bit. I really wanted us overnight to go higher and actually like hit this resistance line and potentially hit the line of the upper end of the triangle, but we missed it. And we pulled back this morning pretty quickly. This is going to resolve itself in the next 48 hours. You have 48 hours to go. And I still believe it's going to break to the upside, but it doesn't have to. The market doesn't have to do what I think it is going to do. That's not how markets work. Okay? Not how markets work. So we wait and see which way it's going to go. Now, if you zoom in on the hourly chart, you can see how the hourly chart had an MRI top. Wasn't perfectly at the top, but it did hit a legitimate MRI top candle. And now we are in the middle of a 1 to 4 hour correction, which I believe has probably ended. I believe this should be the low for the day. I like this as an hourly buy. If I was a trader trading the hourly candles, I would take a shot at a trade using the hourly charts. And to see if we can challenge and actually hit the top of this triangle before having one more pullback and then the ultimate breakout. So ideally, this thing would break out on the 20th, the day Joe Biden is inaugurated into office. But right now, while I was certainly bullish while I was sleeping at 7 in the morning, New York time, which means it's 6 in the morning where I am currently in Houston, Texas. But I'm off to Tampa today in an hour. And then I have to go to the airport in about 30 minutes. And I am off to Tampa, but I won't be in Tampa until I won't be hanging out in Tampa until the weekend. I will tweet it out, guys. Keep an eye on my Twitter. And I will tweet it out. All right, let's see what other charts we have. All right, so lately I've been keeping an eye on the Ethereum chart only because from a technical perspective, the Ethereum chart is looking like it wants to break out. That arrow might be a little bit, ambitious. But the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart looks like it's in a technical position to break out to the upside. We may or may not have broken the resistance line. I believe we have broken the resistance line. And that's a good sign. A breakout of this high will probably take Ethereum higher. I still think Ethereum is garbage. But just because it's garbage doesn't mean that you can't do patterns. Ethereum is liquid enough to apply TA to it. And same thing right here. The dollar version of Ethereum is holding up way better than Bitcoin over the last. You can see how Bitcoin hit a high, had a secondary high, and then pulled back, while Ethereum did not pull back. It hit a first top, and now it's at a second top, and now Ethereum is looking to break out. So Ethereum has actually been more bullish than Bitcoin over the last, 5 to 6 days. And that is a good sign for Bitcoin as well, because it's if Ethereum is likely to break out, so will Bitcoin. Ethereum is not often the leading indicator of the cryptos going up, but in this case, it's one of those rare cases that it might be. Now, this is where people that don't understand the technology behind it will say Ethereum's going to flip Bitcoin. Ethereum's better than Bitcoin. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of it's like two tennis players. I was gonna say chess players. Doesn't matter. It's two chess players. There's a one-on-one sport, basically, for example, or two golfers, and one guy has won 99 games in a row against another, and all of a sudden, the guy that's lost 99 games in a row wins a single game. Just has a good day and wins a game. And all of a sudden, everyone starts saying how he is now going to win the next 99 games. No, that's ridiculous. He's probably still going to lose the next 99 games. One is still 100x better than another. So it's the same concept here. Just because this one time Ethereum could be looked at as a leading indicator, it doesn't mean anything other than it's a one time that this could happen. And that's how you know who is smart and who isn't, based on how they interpret the fact that this one time Ethereum could serve as a leading indicator for Bitcoin rising. Let's go back to the daily chart. I'm still looking at this arrow here. I think this consolidation is on its last legs. Bitcoin needs to start rising, and it needs to start rising soon. So sometime in the next 2 days, it needs to start rising. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. If we can consolidate between these two lines long enough, we're going to have an even bigger breakout in the future. We have reset the counts for an MRI top. So we're still like, 10, 11, even maybe 12 days away. And that would still put us in line perfectly with the weekly MRI top. I still think there's a high probability of crossing 50,000 in the next 2 to 3 weeks. All right, what do we got? Tone, can you look at Bitcoin on the inverted chart? I can, but I don't really care to look at Bitcoin on the inverted chart. It makes no sense to me to look at Bitcoin on the inverted chart because Bitcoin has a lower level bound of 0. So it just doesn't make sense to me to do that. Please ask Tone why criticize Canada. I travel to any country completely fine. Also, our ex-prime minister today. Well, because there are some parts of Canada that are literally locked down from moving between parts of Canada. And that's what I hear from people that live in Canada. I have no interest in going to Canada. Probably ever. Like, there are certain countries, based on the way those countries handle lockdowns, I have zero interest in going to those countries probably ever. I don't want to be there. I don't want to support their tyrannical lockdown socialist model. The UK is one of those countries. Canada is one of those countries. Australia is one of those countries. These are countries I have zero interest in going to again. Peru is another one. And that was disappointing because I had plans to go see Machu Picchu in 2020. There you go. In Quebec, you are not allowed out of your house past 8 p.m. That's a perfect example of a tyrannical government. That's worse than North Korea. You can leave your house after 8 p.m. in North Korea. So there's an example. There's your example. Well, at the moment, I like Mexico. I like Brazil. I like, again, I haven't looked at Turkey. I'll probably be spending time in Turkey. They never lock down. Dubai, might go there. I'm not. I'm not talking about where I'm moving to. And at least not yet. Toronto, same thing. 8 p.m. Can go outside. I've been to Turkey twice. I liked it. I didn't have a problem with it. Anyway, I need to get to the airport soon. Markets are closed. Nothing really happened. Gold is still going. Oh, gold rallied nicely at the. I didn't even see that. Gold. I would stay away from gold for the time being. Gold can really go either way for the time being. If I end up stuck in America the rest of my life, which I hope is not the case, I will only live in Florida or Texas. I would not consider any other state at the moment. I mean, I'd consider like Montana or South Dakota or Wyoming, but they're cold and there's not like they're just not states I really want to live in. But from a freedom perspective, those are good states. And Florida and Texas. That's it. I would. I don't want to set foot in New York ever again, but I have to sell my apartment, so I will set foot in there because I need to sell it and probably visit family. The DXY should be turning around soon. The DXY, I'm not very bullish. How's this shitcoin doing? Yeah, it's going to zero. Let's see, DXY. I like the Mexican peso. I like what it's been doing. I'm not even sure the dollar would get that high. I'm very bearish on the dollar. Those of you that have watched me for a long time know how rare it is for me to say that I'm so bearish. I'm bearish on the American way of life. I'm bearish on the American political system. I'm bearish on the American economic system. And I think America is fucked because the new president of the United States doesn't know if he's coming or going or standing or sitting. Would I consider moving to Iran? I've never been to Iran, so I can't consider it. I could only consider moving to countries or states that I've been to. I can't consider moving somewhere where I've never been. So the Gab app has been removed from all the Play stores. But if you go on your cell phone to Gab's website, you can then download their app. It looks like a circle with the word Gab in it. But you have to like download it from their website because they removed it because they're oh wow, I did have the app. Oh, I still have the old app. I didn't even know I had it. Oh no, it's Grab. Sorry, Grab looks similar to Gab. Oh, it's a circle with a G in it. It's just a white circle and a green letter G. Is the app, but you could only get it from their website. What pullback do I expect after we hit 50 to 55K? I have no idea. We have to hit 50 to 55K first. I can't talk about this pullback until after this happens. This can happen next week. This can happen next year. I don't know when 55K is going to happen. It can easily happen for the first time a year from now versus next week. When it happens and how it happens, that's when we're going to start talking about the pullback. Way too early to discuss the pullback. What would be the Bitcoin price level to break for you to start looking bearish towards 23,000? Oh, right here, the red line. That's easy. If we break 32,000, I will absolutely be looking for 23. That's what this red arrow is about. Now, there's a chance that this support cluster at $28,000 would reverse the price. So those would be my targets. If we break 32, my target becomes 27 and a half. And then if we break 27 and a half, my target becomes 24. I know they're close to each other. Then if we break 24, my next target becomes the next moving average, which right now is 19, but by that time will be close to 22. Any other questions? I can go through my view one more time. We're at 1,400 viewers. I like this consolidation on a weekly scale. We are at an MRI warning, but the week has just started. If we continue to consolidate, I will not consider the MRI top that's coming next week as a sell signal. I only like considering MRI tops as sells when they occur on large run-ups and reversal candles. Like this candle right here, to me, was a sell signal for a major correction. When the correction did not happen, I got back into the market before it crossed the $20,000 mark. Now, an MRI top like this is not a big selling indication for me. Now, there are other reasons to sell this candle. One of the reasons to sell this candle is that it's taking place on a downward sloping trend line. Another reason to sell this candle is that it's a reversal candle. But from a pure MRI trading perspective, this is not a selling environment because it is happening in consolidation instead of at the end of a run-up. And this is where when people ask me for access to the MRI, I tell them having access to the MRI will only lose you money unless you have studied how to trade the MRI. And MRI, of course, stands for Momentum Reversal Indicator, which you can learn more about at tonevays.com, products and services, MRI indicator. That's where you read about the details. You can also support on the affiliate page. You can also purchase on-demand videos for how to do proper risk management so you don't get wrecked, and basic TA. You need to have this knowledge. This, by the way, is a combination of these two. Prices will rise next month. I'm still on a Black Friday discount. Prices will rise next month. So you guys have about a week and a half to 2 weeks before I raise prices. I don't know how much I'm going to raise prices to. They might go back to the original amounts. This is going to go back to 2,500. The options class, this will go back to 500, 500, and 750. So I will be raising prices to what they used to be pre-November. Okay. You have to have knowledge of technical analysis and you have to have knowledge of risk management. It doesn't have to be my knowledge. It can be your own knowledge before you venture into MRI, and you do need to learn how to trade it. Just because you see a red arrow, it doesn't mean sell. To me, a red arrow like this certainly means sell because it's happening at the very top. Yes, there was a little bit of consolidation there, but not enough consolidation to assume this arrow will not take us down, especially after the big run-up, okay? Same thing here. I expected this to pull us back. But on the other hand, an arrow like this, an MRI top like this, is not a selling indication. Look at all of the consolidation. This is bullish for me. This is a bit of a sell, but then you don't lose much. Consolidations are bullish. Consolidations near the top are bullish. So you have to understand the difference between the MRI tops. This is certainly an MRI top that I would be selling. What chart am I looking at? US versus the Dow chart. Okay, cool. So keep all that in mind. And this is the weekly look. All right, I think I have more questions. Let me see. Can we look at a 4-hour chart? Yes, we can. Oh, I should look at the funding rate. The 4-hour chart is within the same triangle as the 1-hour chart. I can't really. Yeah, it's the best I got. Now, notice how the 4-hour chart perfectly called the top with the MRI. This is an type of MRI that you sell because look at the big run-up. This is the type of MRI that you buy. Look at the big crash. I called the buy of this MRI perfectly. Also called the top of this MRI perfectly, though I only thought it was going to be a 1 to 4 candle correction then up. I was wrong about that. The correction kept going, but the MRI sell indication was spot on. And we're not close to another MRI, and we'll probably flip over in the next candle. So not much is happening based on the MRI on a 4-hour chart. We are stuck between a resistance line and a support line. And I mean, the moment this one breaks, we're going to go down. And we're going to go up long before this breaks because the triangle is now, there's such a wide difference here now. Okay, one more question. What do we got? Oh, I don't know why it like skips all the time. Okay, let's try this again. Please ask Tone which moving averages those are. Also, what are your MRI inputs? MRI inputs? Well, there are no MRI inputs. That's the code on the back end. There are inputs for the stars, and you should understand how to use those stars. And you can choose your inputs for the stars here. I'm going to teach another webinar sometime by the end of Q1. And I need to teach a 2-day webinar for the MRI because there's just so much stuff there. So the future webinar will be 2 hours. And what was the other question? Well, moving averages. Well, it depends on what time frame. On the daily chart, I use 50, 128, and 200. That's a daily chart. And on the weekly chart, oh, sorry, that's the weekly chart. So on the weekly chart, I'm using 20, 50, and 200. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Right, 20, 50, and 200 on a weekly chart. On a daily chart, I scale out a little bit. So I use 50, 128, and 200. Let's double check that. 50, 128, and 200 right there. Okay. And these dots basically mean where the moving average is expected to be over the next 3 days. Look at Samsung stock. When you get worried that this is a bull trap and a prolonged bearish market is back in the works. When do we get worried about that? I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that. This is a bull environment. Look, and America is collapsing. So politically, socially, economically, U.S. is screwed. And I would have never said that in October. That everything I say, the destruction of U.S., it all happens. It all happened on election day when you're watching the television set and you are seeing election fraud before your eyes. You go to bed, you wake up, and like the amount of, I know I'm going to say the word and everyone's going to lose their shit. The amount of evidence that there was massive election fraud is as bad as any banana republic. It was as bad as any third world nation. It was probably more blatant election fraud here than the first re-election of Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. And they use the same software for the machines. So that is going to destroy the US. Some of the smartest people I know are now considering leaving the US. The US is nothing without its smartest people. It is nothing without its smartest people. Your country is only as good as the brain capacity of the smartest people that want to stay, live, work in your country. If the US no longer has an advantage on smart people wanting to come to the US, and smart people are now leaving the US is done. It is completely done. So what are we going to look at? Samsung. I was laughing at the gloom and doomers that the dollar was going to collapse. Now and after November 3rd, I became one of them. I became one, but I'm doing something about it. I'm not just talking. I'm doing something about it to make sure that I'm okay. You guys got to make your own decisions. Samsung. What am I misspelling it? I have no idea how to spell Samsung. There it is. What's the ticker? I don't know what the ticker is. I'm assuming it's this one, the South Korean one. Wow, that went up a lot. Okay. It's overextended to the upside. It's just overextended to the upside. MRI did not help you get out. MRI called the top a week ago. It just flew past it. Maybe the weekly chart's better. No, it's not. This is a bearish looking chart. That is a nasty weekly candle. And no surprise that it opened down from that candle. Earnings is coming. I would stay away from Samsung. If I was in Samsung, I would consider selling. Look, the MRI has done well. It's not perfect, but if you look at the last time we had an MRI top prior to this MRI top, it called the top perfectly. The next day was the high. That's good enough for me in my book. And from that day, I'm not going to cherry pick the high. Let's pick the high on this day. And we fell 30% in a matter of weeks. So that's a good call by the MRI. It also called a buying opportunity on the warning sign, and you went straight up. And I would be out. I would be out of Samsung. I would wait for more pullback. It just got out of control. And it's going to... Oh, guys, I got to go. Sorry, I got a flight to catch. I'm boarding my flight in an hour and a half, actually. So I need to... And it's like... Airport is like a half an hour away from where I am in downtown Houston. So, so that's it. I got to run. Let's end this screen share. Thank you so much to those that came out last night to Club Volt. It was fun dancing to some Latin music. And we'll do something in Tampa this upcoming weekend. I'm flying to Tampa. I plan to stay there all week, but I'm going to catch up on some work, and I'm going to, again, more fans hit me up, offer me a place to stay by the beach, by a lake, about an hour south of Tampa. So that's where I'll be. I think I'm south of Sarasota as well. So that's where I'll be during the week, but then I'll come up to Tampa for the weekend, and I'll tweet out. We'll pick a place. I'll hit up Gabe and Rosa if you guys are watching, and we'll pick a place. We'll do something Friday and or Saturday, and then it'll be time to move on to Miami, where we're going to do it all over again. So if you are not scared of breathing fresh air, come out and join us for a drink. All right. Bye, guys. Talk to you all on the